10. Jeffrey Prim. Jeffrey Prim, once a titan in the bodybuilding world with titles like Mr. Universe, has faced a dramatic fall. He's been sentenced to 40 years in prison after being found guilty of severe abuse against a woman and her children over several years. The shocking details came to light after a brave victim stepped forward in 2015, leading to a thorough investigation. This revealed a disturbing history of both physical and psychological abuse, including beatings, threats, and forcing his victims to endure terrible living conditions like sleeping in an unheated shed without proper clothing or bedding. Initially handed a 16-year sentence in 2018, Prim's case was reopened on the grounds of inadequate legal representation. The subsequent legal proceedings reaffirmed his guilt, resulting in an extended sentence for charges including aggravated domestic battery and unlawful restraint. This turn of events starkly contrasts with his celebrated past in bodybuilding, highlighting a profound fall from grace. 9. Bertil Fox. Bertil Fox, a name that resonated with promise in the bodybuilding community, saw his early career skyrocket after winning the 1969 Junior Britain title at just 17. He quickly ascended through the ranks, sweeping major NABBA accolades and making a splash on the prestigious IFBB stage by 1981, with the bodybuilding community buzzing about his potential to clinch Mr. Olympia. However, his trajectory took a drastic and dark turn. In 1997, Fox faced harrowing accusations following the fatal shooting of his fiancée and her mother, a tragedy that overshadowed his career achievements. Initially sentenced to death, an appeal changed his fate to life imprisonment. But after spending a quarter-century in prison, a significant turn of events came on August 4, 2022, when he was pardoned by the Governor-General of St. Kitts and Nevis, allowing him to breathe free air once again. This story is a stark reminder of how quickly life can change and the lasting impact of our actions. 8. Valentine Payne. A veteran Winnipeg fitness trainer and bodybuilder was given a 6-year prison term for exploiting a vulnerable teenage girl. Valentine Payne, 67, had previously admitted to charges of exploitation and 2 counts of overlooking a court order. On April 21st, Provincial Court Judge Alain Huberdeau, while reading his written ruling, stated that Payne initially encountered the girl at his Winnipeg gym in 2018, when she was 14 years old. She said that she was under the care of Child and Family Services and was being coerced into engaging in adult work while residing in a group home. He also extended a job offer to her, with payment made off the books, and continued these actions, which took place both at his gym and at a nearby motel. Payne used his smartphone and social media to connect with the victim, discussing adult activities and occasionally addressing her in inappropriate ways via text messages. He also made comments showing affection for her. A protection order was issued by the courts in August 2020, prohibiting Payne from approaching her. However, he violated this order many times before the conclusion of October 2020. 7. Craig Titus. Former bodybuilding champions Craig Titus and Kelly Ryan, once revered in the fitness world, have been handed their sentences for the killing of their personal assistant Melissa James. Craig Titus received a prison term of 21 to 55 years, while Kelly Ryan was sentenced to 6 to 26 years. This followed the tragic events of December 2005, when 28-year-old Melissa James was found burned beyond recognition. In a tearful courtroom scene, Titus claimed the murder was accidental, stemming from a drug-fueled argument, and he issued an apology, asserting he never intended to harm Melissa. Similarly, Kelly Ryan was overtaken by emotion, pleading for forgiveness from both the court and Melissa's family. However, Judge Jackie Glass expressed doubts about the sincerity of their remorse, describing their emotional displays as insincere. Ultimately, both Titus and Ryan pleaded guilty to several charges, including second-degree murder and arson. Titus acknowledged full responsibility for the incident, while Ryan's attorney emphasized her deep remorse and the profound grief she feels over the tragic event. 6. Jamie George. Jamie George, a bodybuilder from Denny, has just been convicted in a landmark case for manufacturing up to 10,000 pills a month containing the highly dangerous chemical dinitrophenol, or DNP. This is the first ever conviction for supplying DNP in Scotland. A big heads up from Food Standards Scotland. During his trial at Stirling Sheriff Court, Jamie admitted to the charges even after he was clearly instructed to stop making, distributing, and selling these lethal pills. Sheriff Derek Hamilton slammed Jamie for his blatant disregard for the health risks linked to DNP, emphasizing that he kept up his activities fully aware of the potential fatal outcomes. DNP isn't your average supplement. It's an industrial chemical used in making explosives and insecticides, and it's incredibly risky. It can cause kidney failure, liver failure, convulsions, and even cardiac arrest. Despite these massive risks, it's gaining traction among bodybuilders for its quick weight loss and body sculpting effects. Back in June 2018, The heat really turned up when authorities raided Jamie's place in Falkirk. They found a full-blown pill manufacturing setup with equipment capable of churning out 100 pills at a go and thousands of empty capsule shells. The investigation further uncovered that Jamie was not just selling locally, but was shipping these pills across continents to places like Asia, Australia, and the USA. His illegal operation came to a screeching halt in October 2018, following another raid, leading to his arrest. Jamie confessed to the police that he knew DNP was unsafe, yet he continued to distribute it. 5. Miguel E. Neal. Miguel E. Neal, a name once celebrated in the bodybuilding world and known for clinching the men's title at the Arnold Amateur during the Arnold Classic in 2007, has taken a drastic turn from fitness icon to a convicted criminal. Recently, Neal faced a courtroom sentence of 44 years for multiple armed robberies, a decision that might just see him behind bars for life, given his lengthy criminal record and no shot at early release. At 43, Neal was convicted on a whopping 36 counts for a spree of robberies targeting 15 businesses, mainly fast food joints and gas station convenience stores, throughout 2011 and 2012. In a poignant moment in the Franklin County courtroom, Neal shared his life story, expressing deep regret for his actions. He firmly rejected the notion that his use of steroids, a common scapegoat, was to blame for his spiral into crime. The prosecution, led by Assistant County Prosecutor Doug Stead, pointed out that Neal's criminal tendencies started well before his steroid use, pushing for a harsher sentence of 77 years. Neal's criminal past wasn't limited to these robberies. It also included bank robbery, among other crimes. His latest string of criminal activities came to a halt in 2012 after a failed attempt to rob an Ohio Bureau of Motor Vehicles office, which ended with Neal being chased down and caught by SWAT officers. During the court proceedings, one of Neal's victims, Burgundy Morris, confronted him, sharing the profound impact his actions had on her life and her family. Despite her forgiveness, the consequences of Neal's actions have left a lasting mark on his victims and dramatically altered his own path. 4. Luke McNally. Luke McNally, previously known as the Hulk and Mr. Australia in the bodybuilding world, just received a staggering 17-year sentence for running a meth lab out of a drug rehab clinic. His sidekick in this operation, Wayne Doble, landed a 5-year term. McNally was busted for manufacturing not just meth, but also cocaine and MDMA. Doble was tagged for his involvement with MDMA. The setup spanned across 3 locations, including a sketchy former brothel turned into a rehab center. Back in July 2019, McNally walked into a bit of a trap at the St. Kilda police station where he met undercover cops, mistaking them for meth users. He ended up trying to sell them $400 worth of ice right out of the rehab clinic he was operating from. His arrest came in December 2019, and he's been in the slammer ever since. McNally confessed to supplying cocaine to the undercover officers and owning a sawn-off shotgun. He even tried to wipe the slate clean by deleting evidence before the cops could raid him. Despite a background that includes being awarded a bravery medal for his firefighting during the 2009 NSW floods, McNally's life spiraled out of control due to his criminal choices. He originally founded Mass Nutrition in 2006, turning it into a leading nutrition brand in Australia, but then faced serious accusations of using his business as a front for drug distribution, which eventually led to police action. During sentencing, Judge Rosemary Carlin pointed out McNally's use of drugs and steroids starting back in 2014 as a way to handle stress from his firefighting career. His substance abuse escalated, dragging him deeper into criminal activities. Now, he won't be eligible for parole until he serves at least 10 years and 7 months, marking a significant downfall for someone who once stood at the pinnacle of Australian bodybuilding. 3. James Michael Mulroney. James Michael Mulroney, a 38-year-old fitness instructor, found himself in hot water after a police investigation linked to a drug-related death in York uncovered his involvement in the illicit drug trade. In 2018, the police seized his mobile phones and discovered incriminating messages that revealed he was distributing cocaine and steroids, with total drug sales estimated at around £33,000. Things took a darker turn when officers found 2 extreme self-made adult videos hidden in a fake calculator app on Mulroney's phone. These videos were particularly disturbing, depicting S***UL acts with an unidentified woman, with one video even featuring a knife with visible cocaine on its tip. Mulroney admitted to creating and distributing these videos. He faced a slew of charges, including the distribution of Class A and C narcotics and possession of unlawful adult content, though some charges were withdrawn or left on file. Mulroney attributed his descent into drug use to the mental health struggles exacerbated by the isolating nature of his bodybuilding career. Despite showing signs of rehabilitation from his drug-dealing days, Judge Sean Morris deemed an early jail term essential to deter others from similar misconduct. Mulroney's defense counsel, Neil Cutt, highlighted his client's significant life changes but acknowledged the need for legal consequences. Ultimately, Mulroney was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison. 2. Christopher O'Connor. Christopher O'Connor, a 37-year-old bodybuilder, landed himself in a serious predicament after a shocking incident involving a 2.5-kilo weight plate. O'Connor, in a moment of high tension, mistakenly thought he was defending his home from a burglar and ended up using the weight plate against a man he wrongly believed posed a threat. Here's what went down. The so-called burglar was actually just a guy who had been out for a few drinks and was simply trying to get back into his own home after realizing he'd left his keys at a friend's place. He showed up at his house around 1 a.m., knocking on the door to get in. O'Connor, misinterpreting the situation entirely, thought the man was attempting a break-in at a neighbor's and reacted by striking him. This mistake had severe consequences. The victim ended up with a fractured cheekbone, and O'Connor found himself sentenced to 18 months behind bars for the assault. 1. Sally McNeil. From Netflix series Killer Sally. Sally McNeil, once a professional bodybuilder in the American bodybuilding scene, found herself at the center of a tragic story. After transitioning from bodybuilding to wrestling to support her family, Sally faced a dire situation that led to the death of her husband, Ryan McNeil, who was also a bodybuilder. She claimed that Ryan had become violent and abusive over time. On Valentine's Day in 1995, in what she described as self-defense, Sally shot Ryan twice and subsequently called 911. The courts, however, saw things differently. Sally was convicted of second-degree murder and ended up serving 25 years in a California prison, until her parole in 2020. Her side of the story and the complexities of their relationship gained wider attention with the release of the Netflix documentary Killer Sally in November 2022.